my God. I'm so sorry. What happened?
Well, she left. And I don't even know if she's coming back.
The first season of How I Met Your Mother ended on a bittersweet note. Ted and Robin hooked up while Marshall and Lily broke up, and as far as the first seasons of sitcoms usually go, it was overall fairly strong. The show's quirky narrative structure and unique way of blending dramatic moments into the comedy intrigued audiences, and its characters were well defined right from the start. Even though the ingredients were all there, it would take a second season to perfect the recipe. Debuting in 2005, How I Met Your Mother recounts how Josh Radnor's Ted Mosby met the mother of his 2 children. That tale, which is framed as a story Ted is telling his future kids, Luke and Penny, equally follows the lives and romantic trials of Ted's best friends, Barney Stinson, Robin Scherbatsky, Marshall Erickson, and Lily Aldrin. The show's pilot finds Ted taking a romantic interest in Robin after longtime couple Marshall and Lily become engaged to be married. Both of those stories unfold across the season, and in the first season finale, Ted and Robin spend their first night together as a couple. After that, a triumphant Ted returns home to find Marshall crying in the rain and holding Lily's ring, their engagement having been called off. That kind of emotional gut punch would become one of the show's trademarks. And as we said at the top, the first season of How I Met Your Mother was pretty solid. At the same time, it's hard to ignore that it was a little rough around the edges. The initial season is, for example, weighed down by an abundance of humor that didn't age particularly well.
Okay, crouch down and bend over a little bit.
Wow, it took 5 shots of tequila to get you in that position.
And even diehard fans will have to admit that at least a few of the episodes are real clunkers, including forgettable installments like Purple Giraffe and Sweet Taste of Liberty. Those problems, however, can mostly be chalked up to growing pains, and the list of classic sitcoms that had similarly rocky first seasons is a long one that includes now legendary shows like Seinfeld, Friends, The Office, Parks and Recreation, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, just to name a few. As was the case with all these others, it would take a second season of How I Met Your Mother to really perfect the formula. Part of that would be about perfecting the format. Season 2, for example, would be the point at which the show firmly established the general template for how stories would be structured going forward, including regularly starting off episodes with cold opens. But what really made it perfect was the next level storytelling. Season 2 picks up the morning after the season 1 finale, with Ted, Robin, and Barney comforting a despondent Marshall. The show then speeds through the next 30 days, juxtaposing the bliss of Ted and Robin's new relationship with Marshall's seemingly bottomless well of self-pity. Despite his friend's best efforts, Marshall continues to obsess over Lily until Ted finally gives him some tough love, pointing out that Lily could never fall for someone who acts as pathetic as Marshall was then acting.
Of course, whatever I say, you're just going to do the opposite, so have a great weekend. Good luck screwing up your life. Come on, Robin.
It helps Marshall turn a corner, and at the same time solidifies a new and unusual status quo where Marshall and Lily are single, while Ted and Robin are a couple. This reversal of the show's typical dynamic then gives the writers a chance to more fully explore the characters, including, among other things, who Marshall and Lily are independently of each other. The relatively brief but memorable stretch finds Marshall awkwardly trying to date again, while Lily attempts to figure out what she wants to do with her life and winds up living in Barney's apartment. Along the way, the stories illuminate why both members of the former couple really need each other, and this is never more evident than it is in the fan-favorite episode, Swarley.
How'd they get Swarley from Barney? It's not even a name. Who would ever be called Swarley? Oh, please don't start calling me Swarley.
The 7th episode of the season finds Marshall finally going on a date with another woman, albeit one Ted thinks has crazy eyes. The romantic outing makes Lily jealous, ultimately prompting her to break it up. That, in turn, causes Marshall to realize how much she still loves him, which is what convinces the two to get back together. The season would then end with them finally getting married. Their story is juxtaposed against the opposing arc of Ted and Robin's romance, and over the course of the season, we see that, typical sitcom hijinks notwithstanding, they actually make a pretty great couple. But there are also little hints that all isn't as well as it seems. Whereas Marshall and Lily ultimately realize they want the same thing in life, Ted and Robin come to the opposite conclusion. Robin dreams of traveling the world and living life like an adventure, while Ted wants to get married and have kids and settle down. So while Marshall and Lily are celebrating their wedding in the season finale, we learn, along with Neil Patrick Harris's Barney, that Robin and Ted finally came to terms with their incredibly bad timing as a couple and broke up. It's a brilliant reversal of the emotional gut punch the show threw at the end of its season 1 finale when it broke up Marshall and Lily. The issues that divide Ted and Robin, meanwhile, will be continually revisited throughout the series. In fact, for better or worse, the story behind their breakup plays a pivotal role in setting up the whole series' ultimate conclusion, which found Robin and Barney divorcing over her globe-trotting career and a lonely Robin and Ted finally finding their way back to each other. Similarly, the season also sets up a number of other important storylines and elements that will play out over the remainder of the series. We see Ted present his first major building design for a skyscraper that will actually be constructed seasons later. Lily, meanwhile, attempts to pursue a career in the arts. She fails and returns to teaching, but then finds herself working as an art consultant later in the series. And Barney's search for his father takes flight in the episode Showdown, where he thinks he might be the son of the then host of The Price is Right, Bob Barker.
Your dad is Bob Barker?
That's right.
The host of The Price is Right, Bob Barker.
That's Pops.
It's a strong episode in a season that contains an inordinate number of classic episodes, often found at the top of best of lists. These include the aforementioned Swarley, as well as Ted Mosby, Architect, Something Borrowed, Arrivederci Fiero, Something Blue, Brunch, First Time in New York. But even without all those, Season 2 might rank as the best season by virtue of the fact it contains what is almost universally regarded as the single best episode of the entire series, Slap Bet. In the hilarious slap bet, the gang finds out Robin has a strange aversion to malls, which she refuses to explain. That prompts Marshall and Barney to make a bet over who could find out the truth first, the winner getting the chance to slap the loser. It eventually comes out that back in Canada, Robin was a teen pop star called Robin Sparkles, who had a hit with the song Let's Go to the Mall. Neither Marshall nor Barney actually win the bet, but a penalty entitles Marshall to 5 free slaps, to be doled out from this point into eternity. That establishes what will become one of the show's most beloved running gags as he continues to use those slaps right up to the end of the series.
That's all of them.
And Robin's past as a pop star also becomes a beloved running gag. But more importantly, Slap Bet is the episode where the emotional and comedic interplay between the 5 main characters really finds its groove.
That's one.
It's where the whole series clicks into place, and from there on out, the show fires on all cylinders. Season 2 is How I Met Your Mother at its best and strongest. And even though most of the definitive elements of the series were in place during Season 1, it still took 22 episodes and a second season before the show really found its footing. It's a point we make here a lot at Nerdstalgic, but in today's television landscape, seasons are, of course, rarely longer than 8 episodes, and streaming services are apt to cancel most series after just a season or two. It means that unlike How I Met Your Mother, most shows nowadays simply don't have the luxury to take the time to figure out what they can be. And in all fairness, that's not always a bad thing. After all, brevity is the soul of wit, and there are plenty of comedy shows with short runs that are nonetheless truly great. But it's also no wonder why the kind of show that makes you want to spend time with its characters for 208 episodes over 9 seasons doesn't come around much anymore. Which is all to say, while Luke and Penny may have complained about the length of their dad's story, they didn't really know how good they had it. So what do you think? Was Season 2 the perfect season of How I Met Your Mother? And if it wasn't, what was? Let us know down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely find others you like if you check out the rest of the channel. As always, thank you for subscribing to Nerdstalgic.